I was in total shock. I was in total shock. I'm like, dang, how did she know I was over here? How did she know I was over here? Oh my gosh. But to make a long story short, my DP, which is the Dean of Pledges, caught me over a guy's house, and we had to suffer the consequences for it. But we will get into it. First, I have to introduce myself. I am Deepest the Designer, and you have just logged on to Blue Shrimp Moscato. All great stories are told over a glass of wine and a plate of shrimp. And I am filming this now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have my wine or shrimp. And as you know, I'm not drinking right now. I've said that in my past episodes. I'm not drinking. I get like one day of the week to have a drink, and then it's one drink. And usually I try to go for my Jack Daniels, a little whiskey when I do get my little one drink. So but great stories are told. If you ever know about a girls' night, it's usually some wine, cheese, little slabs of pepperoni, some meat on a. I don't even want to try to say the name of that board. It's like a caricature board. Don't blame me. Anyway, Blue Shrimp Moscato. I'm defensive designer, and y'all, I have to plug my website because y'all been, man, the love has been so real, so real. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. www.dfistthedesigner.com. I cannot believe that y'all came through. I mean, the numbers, the hits, the support, the purchases, and everything on my website has been astronomical, and I just didn't know that many people fooled with me. I just didn't even know that many people knew me. So yes, thank you so much for the love on my website. I work really, really hard on that website because when you guys come to the website, I want it to be an experience. I wanted all your senses to be tapped into. Of course, I can't do smell and taste, but even with that, like I wanted to create this different type of feeling coming onto my website that you don't get on a lot of other ones. So anyway, you may from time to time in this episode hear my son in the background. I was trying so hard to wake up really, really early to film and to record, and it kind of, when he doesn't feel his mom in the bed, he's going to wake up too. So that's what we're dealing with today. But anyway, I'm gonna get right into the story. This is gonna be one of my short stories, but it's gonna be a great story nonetheless. So let's go ahead and get into it. This story takes place. I was a junior in college at the time, and I was interested in joining a very prestigious organization, a very well-respected sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And before I get into this story, I do want to let it be known that Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated is a non-hazing organization. We don't play that. We don't promote it. And I just needed to put that out there before I get into this story. Okay, so let's get into it. I went to an interest meeting. They put their dates up for the interest meeting. And I went to the interest meeting, and we had to do icebreakers. We had to introduce ourselves. We just had to do a bunch of different things. We had to get into groups, and we had to do little skits and stuff like that. But we really had a good time. It was a interest meeting. Now, going to the interest meetings do not mean that you're going to get into the organization. It just means that I'm interested in learning more about it, and you want to kind of show the other women in the organization that, hey, I can be an asset to this organization and I can help it grow. So I ended up getting a call back that yes, I was accepted into the organization. Well, not like, I don't know, I don't really know how to put it, but I was going to the second round. Let's just put it that way. Without giving out too much, I was just getting the second round. So, I got my information on what was to come and what I needed to do next and what they needed from me. And I did it all. I got it all up. And I turned all my stuff in that they needed from me. I turned everything they told me that I needed, and we had to get it back in a short amount of time. But I got it back. I got it to them, and the people that was able to get the stuff back was able to go to the next round, pretty much. So we got our next information. And just to kind of skip past a lot of those details, we got to a point where in our organization, we like to, our organization and especially our chapter, it is a big thing for you to know who your line sisters are, and not just know them by their name and their number, what number they are on your line, but know exactly who they are, what they like, what they don't like, who they roll with, where they from, their family structures, do they got kids, what are their majors, what do they want to do with their life. Like, we needed to know who our sisters were, because it's not just, we don't just call ourselves sorors, we don't just call ourselves line sisters just to say it. Like, we really are ride or die for each other. But to incubate that mindset and to grow it and to instill that in us, we go through a process, and that process is just putting us together, learning our history of the organization, learning the history of our chapter, and the history of each other. So to do this, we decided that we would live together for a little while, and we would just live together. Now, there is one person in the organization that is kind of over this process, and we refer to that person as the DP. And the DP stands for Dean of Pledges. So she pretty much keeps everything in order, making sure that we're not out breaking any rules of the organization has, or we're living up to the expectations of who we need to be in order to be a part of this organization, and that we're learning everything that we're supposed to be learning going into this organization. So one of the rules was that we were not supposed to hang out with guys during this time. We needed to just be focused on learning this history. We needed to be focused on learning about the Divine Nine and all of that stuff. And we were living together. So there was 17 people on my line. So we're living together. We are at my house at the time. So we're like just all packed in there. And we are learning this history. We are just doing what we got to do. But it can be overwhelming sometimes to be in a house full of women like that, and then that many women. So we're just like, wherever you can sleep, you sleep. We're going over stuff. Whew, it was a lot, but we got through it. But there was one particular day that I had left, and I told my LS, I gotta go to work. I got class, and I'm gonna be gone all day. I will be back when I get off, and then we can, start going back over history once I get home. And that was gonna be late at night. Now, I was plotting. I ain't gonna lie. I was plotting because I was like, look, I go to class. I got an 8 o'clock class, and I'm scheduled to work from like the morning to the early afternoon, like mid-afternoon. And so I'm not in no rush to get back over to that house with all them girls. So I am going to call up my homeboy. Now, this was completely innocent. I was not, the guy that I was trying to call up, we were not dating. It was not like that. He literally was just a homeboy of mine, and he didn't live too far from the school. So I'm like, look, can I come over there? Can I come over there? I'm on the phone with him. Like, look, can I come over there and crash at your house, get some sleep before I have to go and do what I got to do tonight? So he like, yeah, come through, come through. I'm like, oh, bet. Now, normally it's nobody at his house. He don't got nothing going on over there. And so I'm like, cool, I can go over there and get some sleep. He probably gonna be on a game. He gonna be on sticks. He ain't gonna be worried about me. So I go over there and I'm walking up the path to his house. He stayed in like some apartments or whatever. And I'm walking up the path to his house and I'm hearing stuff in the house. And I'm like, oh, great. Like, they got the music on. I'm thinking I can maybe just suggest that, can y'all turn the music down? I'm trying to get some sleep. Like, this is not even my house, but, it is what it is. So I'm saying all of this. And I'm saying this in my head, like, this is what I'm going to say, going over what I'm going to say, how I'm going to ask him to turn his music down. And I knock on the door, and his roommate opens the door, and he's like, oh yeah, what's up? What's up, D-Fizz? What's up, Fizz? No, he didn't call me D-Fizz. They all call me Fizz. So, like, what's up, Fizz? What's up, Fizz? So I'm like, yo, what's up? And then I see that it's like a house full of people. So I'm like, what are y'all doing? What's up? Y'all having a party? He was like, nah, these my peoples. What's the name in the back? So I'm walking through. I'm trying to be polite. They got like a little get together. They playing cards or whatever. Some people on the game, and then some people just on the couch. So it was like a good amount of people in there, but it wasn't a house party or anything. But he was having some people over. So I speak to everybody and head to the back. And so as soon as I get in there, I'm like kicking my shoes off. I'm like extremely tired because, this is I have been going to work, to school, and living with the girls and going over history and learning what I need to learn. And it was a lot, and I was tired, and I just needed some sleep, and I didn't want to go to my house because I knew it was going to be chaotic there. So I just wanted to go over here so I can be quiet and I could go to sleep. So I was really tired. I just kicked my shoes off and I just got on his bed and, said what's up to him or whatever. He kind of was on his, he was doing something. I think he was like writing a paper or whatever. So he was like in his books. He was like, yeah, go ahead and lay down. He wasn't really studying me. Let me put it that way. I fell asleep. And I don't know how long I was asleep. I remember turning over and he was like sleep too. Like he had eventually laid down and went to sleep too. But, I just kind of was out. So after a little while, I hear, where's she at? Where's she at? And I'm like, thinking I'm dreaming. I'm like, man, I've been doing this stuff so long. Like, they in my dreams now. They in my dreams now. I've been in this process for a minute. They in my dreams. So I didn't move because of course I'm thinking like no one knows I'm here and I'm in my dream. I'm hearing this voice and I'm like, oh my God, I know this voice from somewhere. So I start hearing again, where is she? Just tell her to come out. Just tell her to come out. Where's she at? And so my friend, he hops up. Now I'm awake. Now I realize, this is not a dream. This is real life. So I'm like looking at him like, what, you got a female or whatever? Like, I thought you was single. I'm like, I'm over here. You got a whole lady. I'm not into the drama. Like, I did not know. Like, in my head, I'm like, I cannot believe that he got me into this situation. And, I know it can't be for them out there. It got to be for him. And he was like a nice looking guy. And he didn't have no girlfriend. Now that I think about it, like he was a hottie, and he wasn't. Anyway, so I'm hearing the sound get closer. It's like, tell her to come on out. Just tell her to come on out. And I'm like, I know this voice. And when it all sunk in, what's going on, I'm awake now. I'm fully awake. And I realize who this is. This is the voice of my DP. My heart was in my feet and my feet were pulsing like boom, 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 boom. And so now I'm like, oh God, what do I do? I'm like trying to find my shoes. I'm trying to put my shoes on. And this apartment was on the first floor. So I'm like, okay, I can hop out that window and go around because like I was just trying to, I'm like, she can't catch me if I'm in the car, now you gotta prove it, whatever. So he come back and I hear him coming back and he was like, you know her? And I'm looking like, I'm sitting on the side of his bed trying to put my shoes on, and then I look back and she in the doorway, and then I'm like, yeah. He was like, she's looking for you. I was like, okay. And she's like, come on. And so I just grabbed my stuff, I grabbed my purse, I grabbed my phone, and I noticed that it was some missed calls from her on my phone. Oh Lord, I did not hear them calls come through. So I walk out. It's quiet now in this apartment. Ain't no music playing, ain't no game on, ain't no cars being slammed on the table. It's nothing. It's just me walking out behind her. And so I'm in my head, I'm like, I cannot believe this is happening. What is going on? And my heart is still pulsing because I know I have broken the rules. And if you break the rules, if one break the rule, everybody breaks the rules. So now I'm thinking it's not only going to be on me, it's going to be on my whole entire line. I cannot believe this. I cannot even believe that I got caught. And so she's about to walk off to her car and she's looking at me like, you want to know who told on you, don't you? And I'm like, yeah. She was like, follow me back to the house. And so, oh, Lord. I was in that car just shaking the whole time. Like, I cannot believe it. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just like, oh, man, I just didn't want to run. I didn't want to drive back to the house. I was so shook. I just did not want to drive back to the house. So we get back to the house. We in the driveway. And she was like, you know that girl that was in your group when y'all came to the interest meeting? Now, mind you, interest meeting has been far removed from my head. We are past that. I have been just, my brain is, I was a computer science major at that time. So everything was ones and zeros on one side, and everything was my founder's history on one side, and incorporation dates and who's a part of the Divine Nine. So no, I don't remember who was in my group. And so she was like, think back, because she was the one that said something about Iota Sweethearts not being a real sorority, a real organization. And so I'm thinking back, and I'm like, oh yeah, it was a girl that was popping off about the Iota Sweethearts. And mind you, some of the Zetas was Iota Sweetheart. So they was like, when she said it, they was like, clutching pearls, like, I cannot believe she just said that. Or, like they was like in her feelings. And so she was like, it was her. She was in that apartment and she called some people and they called me and they told me that you was here. Y'all, I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I don't even remember this girl. I remember her. Remember her vaguely, barely remember her face, but I knew exactly who she was talking about in the house because when I spoke, she hit me with the wave hello, like the finger 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like finger hello, and it's just like hello, like that. And I was like, well, I'm too tired. I don't have time to like figure out what her problem is. But I remember her, and I was just like, I cannot believe. What did she think? What did she gain by telling on me? What did she gain? Did she think I was going to get kicked off the line and then they was going to say, oh, we got a spot open, you can come now? Like, what was she thinking? What was she thinking? To this day, I don't even know this bride's name, but I just know her face. I can sketch her face out because now it's etched in my mind. Now I remember who she was. So I'm not going to tell y'all what happened that night during our study sessions. But it wasn't good. It wasn't good. I got my line into some trouble. But after that, we ended up crossing and we ended up becoming Zetas. And it was a very, very great decision. It was one of the best decisions that I made in my life. Now, the next year, it came time for an interest meeting again. And the same girl comes through the door. And so I tell my LSs, I'm like, look, she's a no. It's a no. Like, I wish I could just go tap her on the shoulder and tell her to leave. It's a no for me. It's a big no for me. I'm not telling y'all not to vote her in. I'm just saying it's a no for me. And they was like, why? And I was like, because she's the one that told that I was at old boy house that night or that day, and everything happened that evening. So they was like, that's her, and I was like, that's her. So yeah, so she did not end up getting into the organization because of course she was running her mouth. Why tell on me? Like, why tell on me? That was the stupidest thing that you could have did. Like, I hope you see my podcast. I hope you hear my podcast and remember this story, because you ran your mouth and you shouldn't have done that. But one thing that I learned from that situation, and y'all know I'm always going to tell you what I learned from that situation, is that everybody is watching you. You don't know who is where they at, what they're doing, whatever. There is always somebody watching you. They watching your moves. They watching you to mimic you. They watching you with admiration. They watching you as a hater. They watching you as watching to see if you're going to slip up, watching to see if they can tell on you, watching to cheer you on, watching to see you prosper. Everybody got their eyes on you. You just don't realize who it is that is watching you. You don't know. And so you got to always be on your A game. You got to always be tight with your delivery, how you moving in these streets. You cannot be off your A game ever. And that's what I learned, because after that, I started moving differently. I started looking around like who's watching me. And to this day, I'm still on my A game, because I know that there are people watching me. And I want to inspire people with the way that I move and the way that I maneuver through situations and how I climb to the top. I want to be inspirational. Back in the day, it was more like I don't want to get caught up doing nothing. But right now in my life, I know that I have people watching me, and I embrace that. I definitely embrace it. I don't fall back from it. I don't fall back from the spotlight. I just do me. I do what I do, and I do it knowing that people are watching. So I say to you, do not be naive and think that nobody is watching your moves. People are watching you. People are definitely watching you, and there's always going to be that one that's wanting to watch you and tell and snitch or whatever. They want to see you slip up and then go run tell that. So anyway, I had to hold back on that story, because that's one of those stories that I tell and get angry all over again, because I wanted to fight her. I did. I ain't gonna lie. I wanted to give her that work. I wanted to drag her. I really did, and I couldn't do that because we don't do that as a Zeta. We don't be doing all that. We don't be doing all that. And plus, I knew if I had went and ran up, then I probably would have ended up getting kicked out of that organization. So I had the wherewithal to know, just let that run off of me and keep moving to my goal, which is my goal at the time was to become a woman of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, zeal, scholarship, sisterhood, service. That's what they're all about, and that's what I wanted to be about myself. So I love that sorority. I got a brand on my back. I don't know if I can see it. I got to brand it on my back. Anyway, so yeah, y'all, that's my story. Make sure that you go to my website, y'all. Just go support your girl. I got my DOD shirts, my deposits over drama shirts, they are selling. Do you hear me? They are selling. And I said that I was going to only sell a little bit, a certain quantity, and I haven't figured out what that number was going to be because they started selling before I could really figure that out. So, but they're still on sale. So make sure you get your deposits over drama shirt at my website, www.dfitsthedesigner.com. Let me remind you guys that Jesus loves you, and I do too. Have an awesome, awesome day. Bye.